Okay guys, just a short video today to get us started. Hopefully by this point we've done our demand shifts, we've done our supply shifts, so we kind of have a little bit of an idea of how this works, what our graphs look like, all that kind of stuff. So now we're going to get into something that's a little bit more um, indicative of what we might see on a test, okay? Um, so let's say here we're talking about the topic energy drinks. That's going to be the product in question. And the question is, okay, what's going to happen to our equilibrium price and quantity if the cost of juice goes up? So realistically, to solve these, there's a six-step process, and this is why it's so important for us to take down those notes, to have the notes on supply and demand. Because if you've got the notes on supply and demand, you can easily go through this and always get to the correct answer. If not, it makes it a little bit tougher. Yes, some of you are really good at being able to use common sense and kind of work your way through this. Um, but if you're anything like me, I'm a little bit more systematic and analytic. I like to have a process to go through, and so this is kind of how you do it. You ask yourself, it's basically six questions. The first thing is, okay, what is it that changed? What changed in this? Well, if I look here, okay, the cost of juice went up, okay. So if I'm looking at a particular word, it's probably going to be this one right here. It's going to be cost, okay. That's essentially what changed, would be the cost. All right, so now that I know that, I can go back to my notes and go, okay, so in my notes on supply and in my notes on demand, the 6 and 6, where would cost be? Would cost be on supply or would that be on demand? And I go, okay, well, cost, that's going to be a supply determinant. In fact, it's the very first one for supply was the cost of an ingredient or the cost of an input. So once I see that cost, I go, okay, cool, so that's supply. So the third step that I'm going to look at, is this an increase or a decrease? Again, I go back to my notes. I go, all right, well, if the cost of an ingredient goes up, what happens to supply? Cost goes up, supply is going to go down because now that's less juice that Red Bull or Monster or Ghost can purchase if everything else stays the same. They're purchasing less juice. That means they can make fewer energy drinks. So that's going to be a decrease. It's going to be a supply decrease here. So then I go, all right, is that to the left or is that to the right? Okay, well, a decrease is always to the left. Increase is always right. Decrease is always left. Okay, so I know it's a supply decrease. I'm going to draw it to the left. So that's the next step here, is to actually draw it. So what I'm going to do anytime I get one, we're going to make plain old supply, demand, make sure I get equilibrium here, and I go down quantity and price. And guys, I can't emphasize enough, you got to label it every time, okay? So many people just want to draw the X and then draw another curve somewhere. You're going to lose on a test, on a quiz. You lose if you do that. You've got to be able to label it each time, okay? So again, we said it was a supply decrease, meaning we shift the supply curve to the left. So I'm going to draw a second supply curve, and I'm going to draw it over here to the left. And I'm going to label it S2. So this is a supply decrease. It is a supply decrease, okay? And so now what I do, I go here, I label this Q2, I label this P2. And so now if I was on a test or a quiz and I was asked, okay, what happens to equilibrium quantity and price in this scenario? All I do, I look at this question and go, okay, the quantity went down, the price went up. That's my answer, okay? So having this drawn out, that essentially tells me my answer. There are going to be some scenarios where you may get asked a multiple choice question where you have to pick price goes up, quantity goes down. There may be other questions I give you where you have to actually draw this graph out and label it. So it depends on what we're doing. Let's do one more just to make sure we kind of have that one down, okay? So let's go, let's see, we'll stick with energy drinks. Let's say that income is going to go up, and we're going to say that energy drinks are a normal good. That energy drinks are a normal good, okay? So, come back here. What is it that changed? Income. That's what changed, okay? My income. So now I look back at my notes and go, okay, income, is income supply or is income demand? I look at that. All right, income is going to be demand. Cool. All right, so now an increase or decrease. Well, income went up. I've got more money, and we're saying energy drinks are a normal good. So if it's a normal good, that means demand is going to increase. I'm going to buy more of it when I've got more money. So this is going to be a demand increase. Since it's an increase, that's going to shift to the right. And so now again, I've got to just draw it and label it. So I come down here. We're going to do, again, supply, demand, quantity, price. Okay, and now again, demand right. So I'm going to draw an extra demand curve. I'm going to draw it over here to the right. Make sure I label it D2. Make sure I label it Q2. Make sure I label it P2. And so I've got price increasing and quantity increasing as well. Okay, one last thing before I turn you guys loose to work on this particular assignment. The one that's the same on both sides, that is a determinant for both sides, is expectations of future prices. So how do I know if it says that someone expects the price to go up in the future? How do I know, is that supply or is that demand? It depends on the key word. If who's expecting it to go up. If it says consumers are expecting to go up, that tells me it's demand. If it says buyers are expecting it to go up, that's also demand. If it says producers are expecting it to go up, that's supply. If it says makers or sellers are expecting it to go up, or obviously suppliers, that's going to be supply. Okay? So again, consumers, buyers, that's demand. If it's producers, sellers, makers, suppliers, that's supply. Okay, if you have questions, email me. We're going to have you guys go to work on this, and then we'll take a look and see how you guys did from there. Love you all. Hope to see you soon.